Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's July 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And it looked like we were going to start out in a range day, and we really just had a downtrend, and we reversed. We had a little spike up and reversed into an uptrend. This is a spike in a channel. We had a break here just after lunch, but we continued to trade up, and there was another two-legged correction here, and then we moved higher yet again. So it still has a lot of all day long. This still has a sideways kind of feel to it. So, when you went in this sideways stuff, you really had to trade that. So, right here, once we got up here and we met this high again and turned back down, it was pretty obvious then that this channel was probably in play. Um, Although we really never got it confirmed before you had a break. You got a break right here, so you only really had one touch. It's possible it's a little higher, like so. And that really is probably more realistic right there. So it does get confirmed. You overshoot a little bit here, but I mean, sometimes that happens when you got a lot of sideways action, but you can see prices playing off of that. And so that's how I ended up with it. But early on, I had it off of these swings like so. But in the end, I believe that is correct right there. And you can see how many times prices bounced off that until we finally had the break. And then move to a new high, and I would look from here. I'd measure this leg. That's a big rally up. Look for a measured leg, and of course we went higher than that. So, but that would have been your minimum target back up to the upper trend channel line if you were managing a runner there. So anyway, I'm gonna back out and talk about the trades, and I'm gonna have to go through them a little quickly today because I've got to be somewhere in 20 minutes. So we've got 20 minutes to get this done, basically. A few of you got tripped up right here, and there's another spot where a bunch of you got tripped up. If I can remember where it's at, we'll talk about that. I think I'll recognize it, but you can see we're looking like we're going sideways, but notice how this does. It comes down and it shoots right through that support. I moved it up to the last close. Even if you had it here, you still push right through that. I know there's some of you that went long right there. Look how strong that move is, and this support doesn't really hold. It's trying to hold, but you got to be careful. You want to wait on a higher low right here. And you definitely don't want to be going long over here right into that trend line that's coming down through there. You can see that trend line clearly. So you got to be careful here. You're better off to do nothing than to try to pick the bottom right here. And this is one thing I'll tell you. Notice where these closes were, and then suddenly we're closing lower than that. That's not a good sign. We should bounce right there in those same places. It doesn't mean that we still won't break lower and fail, but you just don't know how much further it might go through before it comes back. And we expect it to fail, but we got to get our timing right. If you just pick the first bullish bar that bounces right there and it's actually pushed through some, then this is what happens. You get stopped out by one tick just to watch it go ahead and bounce. So wait on the higher low, which comes here. And on my chart, there's no entry. On most anybody's chart, there shouldn't be because you should have got the trend line right there. And you just sit and do nothing. You can't go short right there. So I like going short here because you got a new high and you got a first entry and that's a second entry and it fails. And it's right off the key entry point, right off the EMA. It's a big bearish bar and there's plenty of room to scalp out. So you can go short right there. But don't be trying to get short down here, and be careful trying to pick a long. So really, when you down here, just do nothing. Notice we drop on down. There's no setups down here, unfortunately. You might take this trade. I did not mark it, but you could look at that. If you saw this, draw your little resistance line across there, and notice that you made that high. You came back once, you came back twice. So you got a double test and you got a little failed break higher above those three matching highs right there. So you could take that trade. I didn't mark it, but you could take that trade. I didn't really see that in real time. I was busy looking at managing some other stuff here, and I didn't see that trade in real time, but that's one you would probably want to take. It's a big downtrend. The only problem is you did just come off of these lows, and that's why I really missed it, just because I wasn't looking for prices to turn back down there again. But that's what happens sometimes when you get something in your head and you're not paying attention to what the price action's really telling you. I made the same mistake there. Of course, I wasn't trading, but if you do that and you're trading, then you either miss a good trade or you get trying to get long down here and you make a big mistake trying to get long. And I think this is where most of you messed up here too. But it bounces, and you don't want to take that first. Of course, there is a little bit of a failed break lower, but wait on a higher low, and you don't get one here till way up here, and you don't want to go long way up here. So we're just sitting here kind of waiting. And really the trend is down strongly right here. So yeah, you got your first. That's really the first. Notice how that EMA, not one thing is closed above that. Very rarely, most of the time, you're going to get a close above it, and prices are going to go a little lower again. And this is a downtrend. You probably don't have this channel yet, but if you drew this off these lows, you had a good idea. It was a little, you had to wonder what was going on here. Was this just an overshoot, or is this a midline? You don't know. So you got to be real careful getting long here, because that's like I said, notice how prices can't even, they barely push through there, but no closes. That's the first close through, and this EMA will act a little like a trend line. You're going to push through a couple times usually. And so we start coming back here, and yeah, there's a second entry long right here. It's not a good setup on my chart, but some of you had a better bar there. I know at least one of you went long above a bearish bar right there, just because it's a second entry. And you're too eager trying to catch a reversal. Just sit. The best thing to do here is to do nothing. And notice what happened if you notice where we bounced that time and you move these down to the lows now. This is important, so make sure you pay attention to this. You got those lows right there, and you really can get them right there because that's where it touches. Notice where we turned down right there. Notice that when we came through, we never retested that. Prices almost always come back and retest those breakouts. That's what we were doing there, and when it turns down instantly, that's not a good sign. It shows you that the downtrend's still in place. So don't be trying to get long there. The best thing to do here is nothing. And some of you are just so eager to enter a trade. You see a second entry on a EMA, you're taking it. Don't be so eager. Wait on better setups than that. It's just hard to really know. Have we reversed here, or are we just pulling back to test this breakout? So unless you get a perfect setup here, which that's congestive, and yeah, you could say, hey, this is a little breakout of that. But even if you went long right there, you don't have much room back to the top. Do you even have room to scalp out? I don't know. So you're better off just to do nothing. Then it drops out of this little congestive area and reverses. But you don't get a setup there either. And it runs back up to the top, right where you would expect it to. Wait on the lower high to make sure it's all over. There it is, and look at it go. And look, you only got to catch one of these moves today with a runner, and you're done for the day. I mean, that's a huge move straight down. And it's easy to manage a runner like that because there's no correction. Look at that thing go. And there's actually a failed second entry long there. I marked it green. It actually broke higher and turned down, so it's a little bit of a trap too on fooling people that want to try to, because there's a second entry long there and they're a little bit away from the EMA, so they think, hey, I'm gonna ride this back, and guess what? You get trapped. There's probably somebody watching that did that. But we just came off the high of the channel. You got this trend line off the lows, drug it up to the high, and it turns down right at it to the T. So now where do you expect prices to go? At least back to the midline and probably back to the other side. And it runs all the way back down here and pushes through again. And you get a reversal here, but it's just too big a setup, and it's not real clear. We may be going all the way back. We may be just going to the midline here. That's not a good reversal pattern. The bars are so big, and you can see how it hesitates right there. it ends up going higher. But you make that high, and then you make a double top, and then you make a lower high on the right here. That's basically a failed second entry long. You tried to go higher 3 times. Really, this pushes up, I think, an extra tick or two, but you could still treat that. It's still going to act the same way. It's a lower high off a double top, basically. Generally, you'd want a good signal bar, but it looks close enough to a failure. Look how we push through the EMA, pulled back. If we break lower there, it's probably going to trap people. And that's why I was playing that there. And then when you get to lower high right here, after you push him back through the midline, now you got a true failed second entry long, counting from the high. So I like that one too. And notice it just kind of chops. It's not taking off. That's not a good sign. So just kind of sit and see what happens. Then you get your break. It's just a first entry though, and you might get a second leg, so wait on the lower high, which comes right here. The thing with this one, there is a little bit of a double bottom, but this is a downtrend, and we came back and tested this. Notice how we pushed back through the midline and came back and tested it, and then turned down. This actually broke higher, then turned down. So you want to go short 1 tick below that bar right there if it comes back through. Even if you'd have waited on that bar and went short, you're okay. You still got plenty of room to get out. And notice it doesn't go very far, and then it bounces. So you would expect this to come on down, but it doesn't do that. Then you push up, you get a first entry, you push up, you get a second entry, and that confirms that trend line. So I like that. And that's a fairly bullish bar, but it's a failed second entry short. It is a second entry too, so either way, I like that one. And it takes on off. It comes back up here. We make that high. You come back and you make basically, it pushes again. It pushes, it's like a little repeat pattern here. It pushes a little higher, but this is the key entry point. And so you want to go short 1 tick below that. And you would expect that you're hoping that prices are going to go on down. And you do, here's another thought, you do have this channel in play. So if you skip that trade, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's actually a shorter term trend line right there, and you get the break and a new high on that one. And so I think they're both correct, but and notice how you couldn't get back up to the high. So I like that one. It was just good for a scalp. Another trader sent me that, and he took it too, but he was all worried that he read it wrong. But I think you read it right. I mean, that's why we scalp out and go for runners, because sometimes they only get a scalp and then they reverse. And that's what happened here. But you still would have had a good trade there. You had several ticks to spare. And then it reverses. I don't think you want to reverse to the long side here, though, because it's right into that trend line. You don't know that it's going to take off like that. And, of course, you get the same little setup again up here. Looks similar to this and this. But there's no signal bar, and it's really congested. If I'd had a good signal bar there, maybe you go short and ride this back, because it is like a little repeat pattern. It bounces, and you get a second entry long here with the trend. That's your first. You got an overshoot of this channel, a break, a leg up, and you're probably going to get another leg up. So that's what you're looking for right there on that second entry long. And it just kind of keeps chopping. It does go ahead and make another leg up with 2 legs in it, and then it sells off. I don't think you want to go short there. You need to wait on a lower high, which comes here, and then you get another one here that breaks higher and turns down. You might go short here. I marked it because it's a failed second entry long. At that point, you got a little bit of support there, but you really didn't get it confirmed. Because it just pushes on through. So it pushed through last time, and this time it went even lower. Of course, you don't know that it's going lower there, so that's why I'm saying that. This one's close to being green, but it is a trap, and the fact that it's a trap and people are probably trying to buy down here, I like going short there. And again, that one's real close to being green. The only reason I like that is because you're not back to the lows yet. And plus you got this possible trend line that I drug down here. You just don't know where that's going to be. I actually had it down here, like I said earlier, but I moved it up. And I don't think you want to go long yet. But then you come off the high here. There's no short. There's a lower high here. It breaks higher and turns down. There's another short as long as you got room to get out here. And then when it bounces, that's a second entry long. Of course, we're not really looking for second entries in a tight range like that. But obviously, if you get a setup that looks right and you get a second entry, then that gives it a little more credence. So there's 2 legs down there. So we're probably going to try to make 2 legs up, and look what happens. We try to make 2 legs up, and then it makes 2 more legs down right here. 1 leg, correction, another leg. And then it rockets higher. And guess what? It makes 2 legs up. And the market tends to move in twos. So remember that. But only reason I marked this one is notice what happens here. You make that high, try to go higher once, twice, and it actually breaks higher and fails and turns down right off that support area. There's probably going to be a long trap right there. That's a quick, easy move. And you can see how it rockets down and traps some people out, but it doesn't go far, and then it's going the other way. If you, I don't think I would go long here even if you had a good signal bar. You could call that a double top and a second entry, but again, you're not really looking for second entry. Just if you get one, and notice all that support across there, the line is just kind of moved, the support's kind of moved up now. You can see that. I probably put it right there. So if you had a good signal bar here and enough room to get out, you may take that trade, and guess what? You get a little bonus out of it. And then it just works its way back to the EMA. Again, no setup on my chart. And you're working back down, but I don't get any setups here. There is a little trend line coming down here. And notice there's no setup at all on mine. And then you bounce here, wait on the higher low though, and there it comes right here. Breaks lower and turns. That's a big bar, but still I like going long there off that key entry point after this is at a break and a new low. Then you come back and you get a failed second entry long right here. When it breaks below that bar, it's a failed second entry long. And then it comes back and makes a double top and gives you another entry. And now you made that high, you test it once, twice. There's a little double test. And we saw that a couple of other times in places. So it's kind of a little repeat pattern too. And you don't know that it's going to do this. You're just figuring it's going to go up and down here. Look what happens. You get a big, nice move right there. I don't know if I'd have had a runner on that or not if I'm trading that. So, but then you come down here, you run right back up through the EMA, pull back, you run back up, you pull back again. That's a nice reversal pattern. And that's a nice signal bar. I like going long there. That thing runs up. And then it rockets right back down again. Notice you get your close outside, new high. But every time it rockets, it sells off. They keep buying it. Every sell-off's a great chance to buy, it seems like. And notice you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry, but that's not a very good signal bar. But then you get that third break lower, a little failed second entry short, and a triple test of those lows. And a nice signal bar right there. It's a big signal bar, but you don't have any other option if you want to take it. You make a higher high, come back and make 2 legs down to a higher low that bounces off the trend line, go long right there, and off it goes again. And it starts working back. And you really just don't get a setup here on my chart. And that takes you into 2 o'clock hours. I don't see, you might take a short right here, but it's just kind of, notice you got 3 bars stacking up. It's not really congestion. It's just like a couple of up-down bars. Prices are trying to go higher, but that trend line is winning out. It eventually turns prices lower. So you could look at that as a double top. So this being a lower high right off the key entry point, that's a possibility. You're kind of pushing your luck there this late in the day. I'll mark it green, but I just think you're better off to stay away from it. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't have any more time. So I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next